Hi, my name is Kayla Post, and this is my educational leader interview. For this interview, I actually decided to choose my store manager, Missy. She is a store manager at our local Claire's, and the date of the interview was Friday, January 27th. Missy's typical day can typically be seen like this. She usually has some type of conference call to be on, whether it be with another store manager in the area or her own bosses. Almost always will shipment be dropped off at the store, and she would have to scan it in through our POS system and merchandise it onto the sales floor. She also has the responsibility of opening and closing down the cash drawers. You will also see her typically working on payrolls and future schedules to be sent out as fast as possible. And of course, she will also have the occasional customer interaction. I would categorize her leadership style as democratic, or also known as participative. When it comes to the leadership style, Missy has the signs of the democratic or participative styles of leadership. She says that her rule of thumb is that she would not make an employee do something that she wouldn't do herself. This shows that she participates in the activities that the regular employees do as well. She makes sure to boost morale with rewards and shows of appreciation of hard work. However, she will provide constructive criticism when needed, and especially if she sees potential in you. You also see her specialty in building collaborative relationships with outside schools and organizations that provide great success in data for her store. Collaborative relationships and participative management are part of the 6 competencies that are common in leadership success. Missy is sent the quarterly stats from the previous year and dedicated plan for each week of the fiscal year. Plan will typically be a slightly larger goal than last year, with sales depending on the week. In the last year's data, it will show how much traffic and sales the store had seen that day, and based on those numbers, she makes a variety of decisions for this new year. Missy will also take into account the possibility of shipment coming in every day. On top of that, if there is a floor move or markdown pull down supposed to be done. She then will schedule based off the strengths and weaknesses of her employees. For example, if it is predicted to be a slow day plus merchandising, she will pick someone who is great at organizing and distributing merchandise onto the floor. If it will be a busy day plus shipment, she will have double coverage, typically. Have the strong merchandiser focus on shipment, while the strongest cashier will handle customer interactions, piercings, and sales. This is also how she predicts on what the best focal points are for training. A busy day usually equals out to a piercing training day plus POS operations, while a slower day will focus more on the floor organization and keeping clean. A huge learning style of Missy's is the act of role-playing. She uses role-playing as the most relatable form of learning operations and how to handle customer interaction. She has stated that the world is crazy and you need to be prepared for any scenario at any point in time. You will give a scenario and give you your dedicated role usually. She will be the customer and you will be your current position, usually either as a sales associate or part-timer manager. She will provide wacky and sensible questions to gauge your reaction and quality of response. She will then give you insights on what you did well with and areas that you will need to work on. She believes in positive reinforcement and constructive criticism. She also calls it positive criticism. She will look at a scenario from both hers and your perspective just to gain a better understanding when providing insights. Assessments and evaluation of learning. Missy has detailed that the company doesn't necessarily provide many assessments that other companies do. There are the assessments of piercing qualification and the training packet when you first get hired, but not much else. She herself will assess your strengths and weaknesses to determine what you need to learn and what you can build upon, usually around district and regional visits. She also has stated that there are quarterly evaluations given to managers to fill out based upon their employees' qualities, and that's typically the only evaluation/assessment that she has to do. Missy, despite being a pessimistic in her personal life, has shown the optimism of a leader. When it pertains to her store, she looks at stuff as it is what it is and strives through it, knowing it will be temporary. She has stated that it is not of anyone's luck, fate, or the universe's choice besides oneself to determine their own success. Without her knowledge, actually, she uses the ABC formula subconsciously when a problem occurs. She holds down to her beliefs and doesn't, quote-unquote, self-destruct, knowing that there are other people around who depend on her. She gave the example of an adversary being low foot traffic, but believes that her two strongest customer-driven employees can create huge sales within the limited amount of customers. Missy believes in the advocacy and open communication, whether it is in or outside of the business. Working with only 2 other employees of the current date, she notes that it can be very stressful at times and tries to create a safe space for her 2 employees to feel comfortable. She understands that they need a break or they need to focus on their college assignments as they're both college students during slow days. This safe space makes it easy to communicate openly while providing great sales and customer connection and boosting morale. In conclusion, what I've learned the most about how data truly does play a part on what is to be taught. The data drives an entire day of operations with the whole process behind it. It dictates what your day will most likely be and the possible tasks that you can knock out that day. I did not realize how much a retail store manager has to do in one day, let alone a whole week, and even a quarter. It shows how much optimism it takes to be a successful leader who leads a successful team that produces a successful store.